Sports professor Rick Horrow, Beyond the Scoreboard, a serious show that doesn't take itself too seriously. We're immersed in a big-time end of September. Last week of Major League Baseball season, beginning of the playoffs. Week 4 of NFL, Week 5 of college football, Week 1 of NHL, Week 1 of NBA preseason. But the big deal is the Ryder Cup and the focus on golf. You realize that the 60 million people who play at least one round on a recognized golf course per year around the world are all focused on the Ryder Cup. Interest in golf at an all-time high. 37.5 million people say they're either very or somewhat interested in playing golf right now in America. 2.2 million try golf for the first time and stay with it, which is a big deal beyond the Tigerization of the tour. Tiger is no longer the driving force, but people still doing it. So what does that mean for the industry? A significant industry, major contributor to the American economy, the economic vitality of individual states. A $62 billion industry in 2000. Now, golf's grown to a nearly $70 billion annual economic engine and $4 billion in charitable donations. So obviously, the industry of golf continues to be really, really, really important. And the Ryder Cup, because of its economics, continues to expand. Hazeltine National Golf Club, the host of the 2016 Ryder Cup, one of about 500 golf courses in Minnesota, $777 million in wage income, and about 35,000 jobs because of the golf industry. And the Ryder Cup features spectators from 41 countries and 6 continents. And according to the Convention and Visitors Bureau, the 2012 Ryder Cup, economic impact of $80 million, this one nearly 100. So the bottom line is get ready for great golf, but also great economic impact. And the show talks about more than just golf. Mark Waller, NFL International, a year from when he talked about what the NFL would do in London, it's all become prophetic. And Joe Castiglione, a college football playoff, he predicted that too, and it's all come to pass. Rick Horrow, sports professor, will deal with both Joe and Mark in a couple of minutes.
Don't complain about your cable bill going up and up and up. Do something about it. Grab a pencil and jot down this special number.
Call 877-499-MY-TV.
The more cable TV rates go up, the better digital satellite TV looks. So cancel the cable and get more of your favorite channels in 100% digital quality for less money.
Call 877-499-MY-TV.
Right now to sign up for packages starting as low as $24.99, and there's no equipment to buy. You get free HD TV upgrade, a free DVR upgrade, and free professional installation. You control what you watch when you watch it. Record your favorite shows, pause and rewind live TV, even skip the commercials. Watch local channels too. At just $24.99, what are you waiting for? Pull out your major credit or debit card.
Call 877-499-MY-TV. That's 877-499-MY-TV.
Cancel the cable, cut costs, and get more.
Call now, 877-499-MY-TV. That's 877-499-MY-TV.
Rebuild or replace transmission, $3,200. Anti-lock brake system, $1,000. Rebuild or replace engine, $2,400. Truth is, once your manufacturer's warranty runs out, it's all on you. Every last cent. Get protection for covered repairs with a vehicle service contract from Toco Warranty. Unlike other companies, with Toco, there's no down payment, and the monthly payments are really affordable. Not sure how long you're keeping your car? At Toco, you can pay as you go. Keep your hard-earned cash and call Toco Warranty right now at 800-222-2313 to save big money on covered auto repairs. Prices vary by vehicle, but for about the cost of a tank of gas per month, a Toco plan has your back on expensive covered car repairs. Monthly payments are very affordable. Get your free quote now. Call Toco at 800-222-2313. That's 800-222-2313. 800-222-2313. Cancellation fee may apply. Subject to eligibility. Not available in Missouri and Washington. Waiting period and deductible apply. Coverage provided and administered by Warrantech Corporation or its affiliates. Not affiliated with any manufacturer or dealership. Visit TocoWarranty.com for complete terms and conditions.
Sometimes what you want most from your car is nothing. No headaches, no surprises, no anxiety when it's late at night and you're on some distant freeway in a thunderstorm. Owning a certified pre-owned Mercedes-Benz can be that anxiety-free experience on every level. You know you're in one of the safest and most thoughtfully engineered vehicles on the road. And with an unlimited mileage warranty, you can drive as far as you want for up to 3 years, with roadside assistance included. Your sense of confidence and adventure are as unlimited as the warranty itself. Now you can drive the car of your dreams and realize that nothing is everything. And during the certified pre-owned sales event now through August 31st, you can receive 2 years of complimentary prepaid maintenance and 0.99% APR financing on select models available through Mercedes-Benz Financial Services. You've waited long enough.
See your authorized Mercedes-Benz dealer for complete details and limitations on certified pre-owned warranties. APR offer available only to qualified customers. Call 1-800-FOR-MERCEDES for details about costs and terms.
Sports Professor Rick Horrow, Beyond the Scoreboard, a serious show that doesn't take itself too seriously. Ryder Cup going on this week, but also college football week 5, about a third of the way done, as well as the NFL International. The Jaguars continue to play an international home game in London, and this week starts yet another season in London. But before we start with that, Joe Castiglione, the current athletic director at the University of Oklahoma, walked on to the football team at the University of Maryland, his alma mater, and Oklahoma, 7 national championships at various sports, and AD of the Year for the Sports Business Journal. Joe, a year ago, predicted the playoff would be successful. Here are his comments now, supplemented next week, the week after, by what Joe Castiglione thinks this year. Joe Castiglione talking about college football. Here he is.
Well, the focus is still on the student athlete, as it should be. You know, regardless of the sport in which they play, they come to a university with, dreams and aspirations and trying to find their way, and we're here to try to provide the resources and the structure and the ability for them to use their gifts to get an education and leave here with a meaningful degree. And while they're at it, they come with some special talents that they actually can use, both in gaining, the financial aid as well as, the opportunity to compete against the best in the country, and then learn, all the other aspects of growing and becoming, a more prepared person, when they're ready to leave. And so that's still our primary responsibility. But as we go forward, we're having to face, so many more challenges and trying to provide that opportunity, and we're working through it. We wish we could have been able to do them sooner than we've been able to do them, and now we've made the changes in our governance structure, as you referred to at the outset, that allow us to make, decisions that permit us to use some of the resources to help student athletes. And, yet we're, seems like every week or so someone's challenging, the role of amateurism, and we're trying to deal with that too. But, every day that we have student athletes under our leadership, we're trying to provide them the best miles so they can be prepared when they leave.
And Joe, we've talked about this before, obviously. You run a tight ship at one of the top 15, 20, maybe even more revenue-producing athletic programs in the country. What's it like, the new feeling of effectively budgeting to uncertainty? You've always got to do some planning in advance. This is a business show. We now have the O'Bannon case winding its way through the appellate level. We've got the Power 5 shakeup. You've been on the governing committee, so you understand how things are changing. Conference musical chairs may be over in many respects, but the allocation of dollars to student athletes is evolving as well. So is your pencil sharpened in a different way than it was a couple of years ago?
It certainly is, in spite of, the constant reports of increased revenue, be it coming from the inception of a college football playoff or conference revenue sharing, which is fortified by television rights fees. There probably just as many examples that don't get talked about referring to the rise in expense. It's much more challenging to try and create a broad-based athletic program, a successful one on top of that, than it's ever been. And people can point to 1, 2, or 3 different things in that regard too, and say, well, if it wasn't for this, you wouldn't have these kinds of pressures. But we don't individually get to define the marketplace at each and every turn, but we still have to respond to it. That is, in fact, if we want to, continue to remain competitive in certain areas. And so, sometimes, things grow and rates that are mind-boggling, but again, we have a choice to do it or not, and then, accept the repercussions from whatever decision we made either way. And so it is more challenging than it's ever been before. But, we have to remain entrepreneurial. We at Oklahoma are one of only 5 universities left in America at any level that can say they're truly self-sustaining, which by definition is operating under our own power. We don't receive any financial support from the state, no tax appropriations or anything of that nature. We don't have any institutional financial subsidies, nor do we have any student fees that flow to intercollegiate athletics. Whatever penny, dime, dollar we spend, we have to generate on our own. On top of that, we're good stewards of our resources, and we're actually helping the university to a tune of about $8 million per year. So we have to be entrepreneurial. But when we do that, Rick, we don't operate, totally with the idea of commercialization. We're trying to figure out, the revenue streams that are possible and generate, those new streams to go back to, funding the model we have for, in our case, 21 sports, almost 600 student athletes, and that we're paying our way, building state-of-the-art facilities, trying to provide all the resources for student athletes, hiring and retaining outstanding coaches and staff, and as I mentioned, being a great extension of the university mission.
It's a hard question to ask because I'm asking you for that crimson-colored crystal ball for you to take it out and look a decade ahead. You can't even look a week ahead in some contexts. But as one of the self-sustaining 5, you're in a different situation, yet you're viewed as a consensus builder as it relates to governance for entire D1 structure in the future, and I'd say probably all of college athletics. Let's call them the non-revenue sustaining D1 schools, and then the D2, D3, I know they go by another name, schools. And how do you reconcile the differences and disparities over time as you look at issues like number of sports you have to have, men's versus women's playoff system, all of the recruiting student athletes, let's call it, all of those issues are huge issues, but they're dealt with differently at different levels. So comment on that if that's not too much to comment on.
Who is it we're trying to be? Are we trying to be competitive with schools that are, in a different category in terms of their ability to generate revenue, or are we trying to be competitive with the schools that have like missions, like opportunities, like sources of revenue? And one gets into trouble when we don't want to take away the American dream and the idea of improving and building a program and becoming successful, because if not for that, we wouldn't have seen some of the great stories in sport. But some of the frustrations come into play, Rick, as you mentioned, when certain schools that don't have the means, and not because any of us say they don't, it's just they're operating within their ability to generate those kinds of resources, trying to be like another school that has, significantly more opportunity. And so therein lies the rub. We can't legislate that, nor should we, and we shouldn't take away, someone's aspirational.
Joe Castiglione had a lot to say. He's also involved in the college basketball selection committee and the college football playoff committee. Obviously, with Oklahoma a perennial candidate every single year, he can't be directly involved, but he's certainly an opinion leader in the whole field of athletic directors and football and basketball in the NCAA. Next up, Mark Waller, NFL International. Rick Horrow, Beyond the Scoreboard. See you in a minute.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for prescription drugs? Well, we have great news. Now you can finally get prescription drugs at huge discounts from Canada Drug Center. That's right, the most popular drugs for cholesterol, high blood pressure, depression, diabetes, arthritis, and many more are now up to 75% off. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices when you can get brand name drugs at the lowest price? Call today and get up to 75% off all the popular brand name prescription drugs. Never pay high prices again. Get the most popular drugs at huge savings from our Canadian and international pharmacies and fulfillment centers. No insurance? No problem. Prices are so low you do not need benefits or insurance to get all your prescriptions fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting to take your call now. Order today and get free shipping. Just call 800-950-1180. Up to 75% off all the popular brand name prescription drugs and free shipping. Call 800-950-1180. That's 800-950-1180.
$100 million in jury verdicts and settlements for serious injury victims, medical malpractice victims, and surviving family members of wrongful death victims. Trial Lawyers for Justice. This is a firm that does not handle frivolous lawsuits. They go after insurance company money, and they're darn good at it. They don't sell their clients out or settle cheaply. Trial Lawyers for Justice, the firm that goes the distance for you, their client. They treat their clients the way you would want your own family members taken care of. Nicholas Rowley, Dominic Pachota, and the other trial lawyers in the firm at Trial Lawyers for Justice, dedicated to representing the people and their families in Iowa, Minnesota, South Dakota, Wisconsin, Illinois, California, Wyoming, and many other states. Trial Lawyers for Justice. $100 million in settlements and jury verdicts already in 2016. 888-811-0844. TL4J.com. Trial Lawyers for Justice.
Tired of calls, levies, and liens from the IRS or hiring others who don't get the job done? Call Wall & Associates and you'll never talk to the IRS again. The IRS has a program to eliminate tax debt, and Wall & Associates professionals are trained to maximize its benefits for you. You always speak with a live person with real support and real knowledge. We've helped thousands of taxpayers like you settle their tax debt with the IRS for a fraction of what they owe. We solve tax problems. Call Wall & Associates now, 800-480-5708. We have the professionals who know how to solve tax problems. If you owe money to the IRS, your tax problems are not going away by themselves, and the passage of time will only make matters worse. Act now, before it's too late. Call Wall & Associates right now to speak to a professional tax relief agent. Call 800-480-5708. That's 800-480-5708. Again, 800-480-5708.
The NFL continues to talk about London, the Jaguars' home team. They play the Colts in the weekend. It's the first NFL weekend in September this year. The year after year, a millionth fan last year, and the NFL no longer questions whether or not London is feasible. The question is, what do you do in London long term? It's interesting to give you Mark Waller's perspective a year ago, and then we'll talk about his perspective today. NFL Executive Vice President of International, creating an integrated marketing function and operating all across NFL platforms and properties, NFL Ventures, NFL Network, NFL.com. By the way, he was born in Kenya, but attended Durham University in England, and he's certainly been Americanized by the NFL. Mark Waller.
Mark, one of the most important issues I have to ask always is, how does it feel to be maybe the only Kenyan-born NFL executive in history?
It feels pretty good. I'm a lucky guy, I know that. So, yeah, very happy.
You're a lucky guy for a lot of different reasons, including the diversity and experience you've had. You've basically gone through the liquor industry, Johnny Walker, Dewar's, Tanqueray's distributors, the Guinness, Diageo. But obviously, you've learned how to develop brands and market them, experience, translate into what you've done with the NFL since 2006.
Yeah, it's definitely been a huge help. The NFL is an extraordinary brand globally, and so the stewardship that I got in learning that skill at Diageo has definitely been helpful, as has the global perspective.
You started in 06. The NFL International Series started in 07. Tell us a little bit about the metrics, attendance, awareness, growth. How can you encapsulate the numbers best for us?
I think the best metric is definitely the sort of number of fans in the UK. So when we started on this journey, we started measuring fandom in 2009, I believe, was the first year, and we were just over 2 million, and we're now at about 4 million. So we've essentially doubled the fan base, and that's sort of a combination, obviously, of playing the games and then great broadcast and media coverage. So great partner in Sky, that really is the home of the NFL in the UK, and then just recently back on the BBC for this year. So that definitely helps spread the word.
Football marketing people and executives are visionaries. Football on-field people sometimes are traditionalists. How have you been able, since those early 2007 days, to reverse the presumption that this game was an inconvenience?
We worked really hard in the first 3 years. Our real goal was to make sure that the teams that came here went home happy, in as much as you can, particularly if you lose a game, but also that they felt that they returned back as competitive as when they left. And so we put a huge amount of focus on team satisfaction and making sure that the logistics worked, making sure that Wembley was tip-top, which it always has been, and really ensuring that any team that went back to the US would speak favorably about their experience in the UK.
And of course, selling the concept internally is one matter, but selling American football internationally is another. What were the greatest commonalities that you found trying to sell American football to not a skeptical, but a largely unaware English and international audience?
Yeah, I'm not sure that, to be honest, that the English audience or the international audience is unaware. I think the issue for our fans around the world is it's tough to access the best NFL experience live. You can't. There's only a certain number of games. They're all played in the US, and the preseason games and the friendlies that we moved around started off working exceptionally well. But the more educated fans became, the more they wanted to see the real thing. And so I think that the challenge has really been, okay, well, how do you give them that experience? We've definitely been able to do that from a media perspective, and actually digital and social media has really helped in that regard. But the moving of games themselves is definitely something that fans have responded really well to.
And those metrics are easy for top-line people to understand, the sellouts at Wembley, the awareness, some of the sponsorships. But the grassroots programs are sometimes a little more difficult to monitor progress on. I assume you've been very happy with the way awareness has increased in the grassroots development since you began this series here.
Yeah, I think we can do more in that area. I think we focused a lot initially on bringing over the games and creating the media availability. And I think as the popularity of the sport has grown, I think there's a need for us to do more. And actually that was one of the thoughts behind bringing Osi Umenyiora over this year to work in our office to really help us develop a better grassroots strategy and a better player development strategy.
Can he still play?
I'm sure he can. He looks good. That's for sure.
I was going to say he's got a lot more. He's got a lot more important tasks now. Believe me, the awareness and brand identification, not just to the NFL, but having a specific team to follow. Interesting. We now have an understanding the Jaguars are making a commitment through 2030 and beyond. How important is that?
Having the ownership commitment from Shad and the commitment of the Jaguars is a huge part of what we're trying to do here. We're trying to build fandom not just for the league and all 32 teams, but we're trying to see, can you actually grow a fan base for a specific team? So their commitment to playing every year is a huge demonstration of the ability that we have to see whether we can grow fans or not.
And of course, the story that came along with it was that there was, maybe not from him, but attributed to the organization, that 15% of the annual revenues from his operation come from the international game. It would be great if every owner understood that and felt like that as well. It would be good for the NFL.
Yeah, and in fact, we had a great meeting a couple of weeks ago with ownership where we took them through the NFL business model and the revenues that we're generating. And that was part of the presentation that ultimately had the ownership vote 32-0 for the new resolution. So I think there is a growing understanding from ownership that this is a great opportunity to grow the fan base and also ultimately a great revenue opportunity.
Let's talk about the new resolution. So we're talking about 2025 up until or longer, a number of games everywhere internationally, but specifically England as well as other countries. Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, essentially the original resolution allowed us to play through 2016 and was restricted to the UK. And what the new resolution does is it extends to 2025, which is the time period that the master agreement exists for the NFL to manage the international business on behalf of the owners. So we're tied in now to that. And it allows us to play games anywhere. We obviously need to get ownership approval and international committee approval. But we can now start looking at playing a game in Mexico, playing games in Germany. So start broadening the horizons now that we've proved the UK model out.
Let's talk about those specific countries, and we'll come back to the UK. Mexico, Texans look like they're interested. There are obviously other connections in Mexico as well. Haven't played a game there since the Niners-Cardinals years ago. How do you feel about Mexico?
I think it's a huge opportunity for us, and you're right, the Texans are interested. A lot of teams are interested. Yeah. Obviously, there's a huge Hispanic population in the U.S. in the majority of our teams' markets. So a game in Mexico, I think, would really help reinforce that commitment to that demographic. And it's just a huge fan base. I mean, it's a shame that we've not been able to go back since 2005, but we're very focused on it, and I'd be hopeful that we can get there in the next couple of years.
Let's talk about Germany. I know you're having an activation plan. You have agencies involved in all of that. What's your long-term Germany plan beginning next year?
Essentially, what we've always said in Germany is we needed to get media distribution sorted out, and we've been able to do that this year. So we now have a baseline of distribution for the regular season. So fans can follow the league and follow the games week in, week out. That then gives us the opportunity to start looking at what can we do in the market. It's not worth putting things into the marketplace if you don't have the ability to then follow the league and the season. So now that we've built that media platform, we'll start to think through, is the next step a game? Is it, other activation ideas that are coming through? So we'll definitely sort of make our first steps back into that market as we go into 2016.
Let's talk about Brazil, Pro Bowl. A lot of discussions about moving the Pro Bowl around in addition to its Hawaiian home. Talk about that.
Yeah, we've got a really good task force being led by Peter O'Reilly, the head of events, to look at the future of Pro Bowl. And obviously there's an element there for international markets. It would be a great way to introduce markets to the selection of star players that we've got from the different teams. So we like it internationally for that reason, but it has to fit with a broader strategy for Pro Bowl, which is what Peter and his team are working on.
Individual owners, obviously returning back to Shad, there's a lot of NFL, Premier League, other English League cross-ownership as well. Shad Khan in Fulham, obviously other owners as well. Good for the sports, good for the NFL to have owners diversify like that?
Hugely beneficial for the international agenda to have owners with a global perspective on the sports business is invaluable. It's not a coincidence that we enlist, for example, Joel Glazer is part of the international committee. We frequently chat with Stan Kroenke and with Shad and others to get their perspectives and their knowledge, which is not only important for the other owners, but important for us as well.
One of the things this weekend, obviously, celebrating the Jaguars' long-term commitment. They're playing the Bills. You also see Shad, Mark Lamping, the Jacksonville organization, part of Fulham. See what happens there. They've got that Visit Florida sponsorship. The synergies work both ways, don't they?
Yeah, and I think that's one of the huge benefits of being able to have a team that is committed long-term.
Mark Waller telling us about NFL Europe, NFL expansion, NFL in London, Jacksonville Jaguars. He has a lot to say and a lot to dictate as far as policy is concerned with the NFL today and in the future. Bust, boom, and hope coming up. Rick Horrow, Beyond the Scoreboard. See you in a couple of minutes.
And now, today's General Steel building tip. Buy a large lot with a friend or family member that can be split into 2 smaller lots. Some of the most appealing properties may be much larger than what you want or can afford. Yet the seller may not be willing to break up a large parcel. So if you can share the costs with someone else, preferably someone you don't mind having as a neighbor, you may be able to pick up a great building site for a reasonable price. And now, a word from General Steel.
This is an alert. If your business or church is building this year, you're about to pay more than you should. And this could mean thousands of dollars more for your office, retail space, church, or warehouse. A General Steel building can save you as much as half the cost and time of similar conventional construction. And we're offering rebates of up to $20,000 to help you build today. Call General Steel for free information that could save you thousands. Call 866-95-STEEL. 866-95-STEEL. That's 866-95-STEEL.
Prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 877-663-7126 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 877-663-7126 to take your call now. Call 877-663-7126. That's 877-663-7126. Again, 877-663-7126.
Rebuild or replace transmission, $3,200. Anti-lock brake system, $1,000. Rebuild or replace engine, $2,400. Truth is, once your manufacturer's warranty runs out, it's all on you. Every last cent. Get protection for covered repairs with a vehicle service contract from Toco Warranty. Unlike other companies, with Toco, there's no down payment, and the monthly payments are really affordable. Not sure how long you're keeping your car? At Toco, you can pay as you go. Keep your hard-earned cash and call Toco Warranty right now at 800-222-2313 to save big money on covered auto repairs. Prices vary by vehicle, but for about the cost of a tank of gas per month, a Toco plan has your back on expensive covered car repairs. Monthly payments are very affordable. Get your free quote now. Call Toco at 800-222-2313. That's 800-222-2313. 800-222-2313. Cancellation fee may apply. Subject to eligibility. Not available in Missouri and Washington. Waiting period and deductible apply. Coverage provided and administered by Warrantech Corporation or its affiliates. Not affiliated with any manufacturer or dealership. Visit TocoWarranty.com for complete terms and conditions.
Rick Horrow, Beyond the Scoreboard, serious show not taking itself too seriously. We get to the NFL piece, but the international piece. Mark Waller, EVP of International, all platforms for the NFL. NFL Ventures, NFL Network, NFL.com. Born in Kenya and an international perspective, Mark Waller.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the huge benefits of being able to have a team that is committed long term, is you're able to build out not just fan relationships, which are obviously critical, but also business partnerships. And I think Chad and Mark have done an extraordinary job of showing to the city of Jacksonville the value of a London partnership and a London commitment, and vice versa.
London partnership, London commitment, UK sponsorships, Budweiser, Hyundai, Pepsi, Visa on the masthead for international sponsorships, commitments, long-term stability. Are the sponsors happy?
Yeah, I think they'll be even happier now that they've seen that we've laid out a strategy in the marketplace for the stadiums that guarantees that we'll be playing games for the long term. One of the things for sponsors that is hugely important is a sense of longevity of commitment, and our ability now to look at the Wembley deal, look at the Tottenham deal, and point to a 10-year future of a commitment to a number of games will allow them to feel comfortable that this is an opportunity that they can follow.
And after spending the afternoon at Five Guys, that is a heck of a sponsorship, by the way, because it was amazing from their perspective that they have 32 Five Guys in the UK, and you've conformed the number of NFL teams to fit the sponsorship. Well done.
Yeah, no, it was a real tribute to either their store development plan or our ability to manage 32 owners. So it's a great partnership for us. It allows us to bring activation to life at retail. With obviously a product and a brand that truly has an American authenticity and heritage to it. And they're just great partners. They activate well, their employees are fully engaged in it, and it's a fabulous product.
Their commentary, by the way, very interesting. Their guys have said to us that the 15 to 20% of the people that frequent those Five Guys are tourists, but the others are Brits who are drawn in largely because they want to learn a little bit more about what's American.
Yep.
Watching the Dolphins play a couple of weeks ago, I'm not sure that's American, but it's another entirely different. They're getting better. Yeah. They're getting better, and it's a great sponsorship.
And yeah, let's be clear. I mean, it's a huge commitment from the Dolphins to give up not only a home game this year, but to give up a divisional game. So hats off to that.
Do you feel that you're putting some extra pressure on teams? There are now 2 teams that have come back and done some coach replacement after they've come over here during the bye week. What's your take on that?
Yeah, we certainly I like the reputation we had after the first year, which is the Giants came and then they won the Super Bowl. I prefer that reputation.
Let's remember that they beat the heck out of the Dolphins that year too. They probably never have recovered, so that's another issue. Let's talk about the current deals. So Wembley's committed, Tottenham's committed. Talk a little bit about the venues here.
Yeah, the beauty of that setup now is we get to play in the home of English soccer, the national stadium, an iconic venue, and then when Tottenham comes on stream in 2018, that will be the newest stadium in London, and so we'll be able to offer our fans the ability to enjoy NFL football in basically the 2 premier stadia in London. So that's a great tribute, I think, to the fans that we've got.
In the City of London, how have they been as a partner?
They're a great partner. I mean, we'll put our 1 millionth fan through the Wembley turnstiles this weekend, and London has really embraced us, whether that's through the stadiums, whether that's through the mayor's office, and increasingly the government relationships that we've developed. So they've been great to us, and I hope we've been good for them too.
We call it the Yahoo game, the streaming game. That early window promoted significantly on American television. What is the business purpose behind the experiment?
I think there's two. I think the first one is obviously the technology's evolving. More and more consumers are going to the internet for their content and cable cutting, as it's known in the States. And so our ability to service that fan, particularly the younger fan, which is really where the core of the internet consumption is coming from, and the mobile consumption. And so that's the first thing for us. The second thing is it's a unique opportunity to actually have everybody viewing at the same time on the same platform. So you're not watching separate broadcasters, you're not watching different delivery, you're watching a single delivery mechanism through Yahoo and all of the effort and support that they put in behind it. So that sort of line that we use in Watch with the World, I think, captures that idea. Hey, you're all coming together wherever you are at the same time.
And the Watch with the World, I assume, minimizes the pressure of looking at specific numbers about a specific game, because what you're doing is you're vertically integrating the development and distribution and maximizing the platforms for future growth of the league, no matter what the numbers are.
Yeah, and that really goes hand in hand with the international agenda itself. That's our job. Our job is to make sure that we grow the fan base for the future and that we unify that fan base around the league and the 32 teams.
Hard to believe that when we started this series and when you took this job a year earlier, social media as we know it kind of really didn't exist. So how have we used social media to grow the sport in Europe and internationally?
We use it a lot. I'll be honest, I think there's a lot more we can do in that space too. We're definitely got a lot of learning ahead of us, but we put in place a lot of effort now within our media group to really try and capture content, and content that appeals not just to the avid fan, but increasingly using social media as a way to bring new fans into the game, so potentially giving them behind-the-scenes looks that you wouldn't normally get, or maybe something more entertainment focused than purely about the X's and O's of the game.
So it's really kind of another platform to diversify content, do some other stuff on that platform.
Yeah, and I think not only diversify, but it actually ultimately ends up consolidating your audience. So one of the beauties of social media is you learn that a game's going on, you learn that something exciting's happened, and therefore as a result of that you may tune in for that on TV or find it on your mobile device. So actually using social media as a way to aggregate an audience, I think, is a key.
Do you tweet?
I do not. I have an account, but I'll be honest, I don't think I've got a lot that people would be that interested in.
That doesn't stop most people at Marquardt, by the way. Right, exactly. The other big question that I think people need to understand is that there are an awful lot of considerations regarding the success of a UK strategy short of an expansion franchise. I assume that is part of the possibility long term, but it's only one part. Will you elaborate on that a little bit?
Yeah, I think we've always been clear that this is a UK strategy, but it's really about a strategy to help learn how to grow the league and the 32 teams around the world. So we happen to have started here, but as I've referenced, I'm sure we'll be taking on other markets soon. So it's a UK strategy from a learning standpoint to apply more globally. And the other thing is, I don't think in this day and age you can ever predict what the world's going to look like 5 to 10 years from now. So I don't think it's necessary that we have to say, right, we're going to put a team here in 10 years. If there's fan demand and there's a great opportunity to do that, we'll do it. But we may find that actually 8 games from different teams is a more appealing proposition. So our job is grow the fan base.
Growing fan base, but also seeming to diversify or evolve the product every year. 3 games this year. First intra-divisional rivalry game, Dolphins-Jets, game 1. Interesting second week. We're in the middle of that today, but you have the Rugby World Cup semis, you have Chelsea, you have a lot of other diversity here, and you've got a matchup that's a couple of teams with modest records, let's say. How do you evaluate success of this weekend?
Well, the beauty of our game is that even with a modest record, you still have to win. And actually, you would argue that for both of these teams, this is a must-win game. So in that perspective, it's a game that really, really matters. The second point, though, is there's always going to be great sport going on in every market in the world. That's the beauty of sport. It's global and it's entertaining. And so if we want to be meaningful in that context, we're going to have to stand up and stand out against a Rugby World Cup or a Cricket World Cup or a Premier League or whatever the local sport happens to be. And so for us, again, this is just another good way to test the validity of what we're up to.
Final crystal ball business question. You can't answer this question, which is why I'm going to ask it. 10 years from now, what does NFL International, the global game, look like?
I have no idea what it looks like. I do know that it will be significantly more meaningful than it is today.
And the percentage revenue, you think, of where the international piece fits into the overall NFL?
I don't know what the percentage will be. It will definitely be a larger percentage than it is today. If we do our job well domestically and globally, then the percentage will ultimately be less important than the absolute number.
Are you around 10 years from now to shepherd that?
I don't know. Look at the gray hairs.
Ladies and gentlemen, this picture 10 years ago. He's aged significantly. Thank you, Mark.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it.
Good to see you.
Okay.
Tour of football, college, Joe Castiglione, NFL International, Mark Waller. Back with Bust, Boom, and Hope Football Edition in just a minute.
We all know healthcare has changed drastically. It's quite the puzzle to sort through your options and find a health insurance plan that's affordable and maximizes your benefits. And you're now required by law to have health insurance, or you may pay a tax penalty. So let the Health Markets Insurance Agency help you. They offer plans from over 120 different companies and can even help you obtain government subsidies. Let them do all the research for you and show you how affordable health insurance can be, a service that's at no extra cost to you. Call now and learn your options to find affordable health insurance. 800-614-1242. 800-614-1242, 800-614-1242, 800-614-1242. Health Markets Insurance Agency is a DBA or assumed name of Insphere Insurance Solutions, Inc., which is a licensed insurance agency in all 50 states and D.C. Not all agents are licensed to sell all products. Service availability varies by state.
Attention, if you've had hip replacement surgery and suffered any complications, you need to listen to this important legal alert. Major manufacturers have made billions of dollars available to award legal claims for defective hip implants. Thousands of these defective hip implants have been recalled by various manufacturers. If you've had hip surgery and suffered complications, you may be entitled to receive significant compensation to help you deal with your complications. You may be eligible to receive money to help with medical expenses, lost wages, damages and pain and suffering. Protect yourself by hiring an experienced trial attorney. Our partner law firms are experts in hip replacement surgery lawsuits. Find out now if you're eligible to receive any of the $2.5 billion hip settlement fund. Call now for free information. 800-296-1360. 800-296-1360. 800-296-1360. That's 800-296-1360.
Fanatics.com is the place to get your favorite licensed college football fan gear. It's also the place to win the hottest bowl tickets for the season. Pull out your phone and Shazam this ad now for your chance to win an all-inclusive bowl game experience for two. Plus $250 to deck yourself out in officially licensed gear from Fanatics. Inside, you'll also find Fanatics merchandise, apps, and more. If you want to be on the sidelines of the biggest bowl games, Shazam now. If you're a sports fan and you love your team, you gotta check out Fanatics.com. Fanatics is the best place for fan gear from the most trusted brands. Authentic fan gear from the NFL, MLB, NBA, NHL, and NCAA college football and basketball. Jerseys, hoodies, t-shirts, hats, collectibles, and more. It's the world's largest collection of official fan gear from all the leagues, teams, and players you love. Everything officially licensed. Go to Fanatics.com for gear and show love for your teams this season. Fanatics. Love never loses.
Sports professor Rick Horrow, Beyond the Scoreboard. The bust, boom, and hope in the economy. Every week we talk about all of the economics, and some are good, some are bad, and some are hopeful. So let's talk about bust first. Syracuse University and the Carrier Corp first agreed to a naming rights deal for the school's Dome Stadium back in 1980 and have not renegotiated since. Now the university is asking for more money. Of course they are. Heating and cooling company's name on the building costs. Syracuse currently earning a mere $78,000 per year from the current partner. The Van Wagner Sports and Entertainment President CEO Jeff Napple said Syracuse could get about $2 million per year in a new naming deal, and others noted that if SU and Carrier can't reach an agreement, the university could attempt to buy out the original contract. Good for Syracuse, but also good for Carrier. One of the first big naming rights deals years and years ago. Boom. South Carolina and Under Armour officially signed a contract extension worth about $71 million over 10 years. The deal now represents the 10th most lucrative appeal in college sports athletics relative to apparel. UCLA's 15-year, $280 million deal with Under Armour coming in at number one. The obvious issue is dollars for South Carolina, dollars for Under Armour. Finally, hope. The USOC has a chance to net nearly $300 million if Los Angeles is awarded the rights to host the 2024 Olympics. LA 2024 joined USOC on a joint marketing agreement that would give the Olympic governing body at least $300 million or so from domestic marketing and sponsorship revenue. LA 2024 and the USOC also agreed to create a joint nonprofit venture to manage domestic sponsorships, supplierships, and limited merchandising. Rome withdrew. Budapest is in. Paris is in. My money's on LA. And the bottom line is, it's good dollars for everybody. That's it for Beyond the Scoreboard this week. We'd like to thank Joe Castiglione last year and today. Mark Waller, the same. All issues, big time, September into October. A big month every single year. Next week, even bigger. Won't you join us when we go Beyond the Scoreboard?